Hey y'all, this video is going to be a big sort of check-in slash wrap-up of our 2021-2022 school year. I'm going to be talking about our goals, whether or not we met them, what the progress report is with our academic goals. I'm going to talk about the curriculum we have loved that we will continue using into the next school year. I'm also going to talk about the stuff that didn't work so great for us. And surprise category, I'm also going to share what worked really well for us, but that we are still looking to change for specific reasons. It's going to be a chatty one. I have a lot to share with you guys. Let's get into it. If you are new to my channel, my name is Kaela. I am a second-generation homeschool mom, which means I'm a homeschool graduate turned homeschool mom. I currently have two girls that are wrapping up second grade and kindergarten, respectively, and I am also pregnant with a future little to join our homeschool. They are due in July. I hope you'll consider clicking the subscribe button. Make sure you turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. The week of May 9th, I have a really exciting collab. I will be sharing, along with a lot of my Homeschool Mama pals here on YouTube, what our curriculum choices are for the 2022-2023 school year in a giant collab that week. So definitely make sure you stick around if that is something you are into. I'm really excited about it. I will be doing timestamps in this video, so if you're looking to skip to a specific part, if you just want to see what curricula we are going to continue with, or you just want to talk about homeschool goals, feel free to skip to the part that is going to be the most helpful for you. I am going to start by chatting homeschool goals. I have yet to make a video that is completely about this. If you want to see a video like that, let me know in the comments below. I'm more than happy to do that for you. But I'm just going to do a very quick overview of how I approach academic goals in our homeschool. A lot of homeschoolers might say that their kids are in hybrid grades, or they might prefer to not use grade levels at all. I totally understand that. I have seen with myself as a homeschooler and with my own kids that learning is not always perfectly linear. It's not always perfectly by grade level. There are a lot of times where you might see your kid be asynchronous with their learning. They might be in a range. That's definitely true for my kids as well. So when I say I have a second grader and a kindergartner, I really mean that more as a general umbrella of what they're doing. I like being aware of what their peers are going to be typically learning. It doesn't mean that I'm going to replicate that exactly or hold myself to that exact same standard, but it's just kind of a general guideline. It gives me an idea. So the two books that I use for setting academic goals for a school year or a grade level are going to be this one, Home Learning Year by Year by Rebecca Roop. I don't know. I really love this book. It is written in a way that is concise and clear and simple and easy to understand. And she basically gives a general overview of what kids are typically expected to be learning in any given grade level. And then she'll also offer you suggestions for resources or curricula that can be used to help meet the goals. Specifically, she has a lot of great book suggestions. And it gives you a really great idea of what to kind of be including in your school year, what to look for in curricula or resources. And then you can pick and choose, right? If there's something in here that I'm like, you know what, that's not important to our family, that doesn't match our family values or goals, then I leave it out. The next book that I really like using for academic goals is The Well-Trained Mind by Susan Wise Bauer and Jessie Wise. Now, I know that this book is geared towards a specific philosophy for home education. It is geared towards a neoclassical pedagogy, which I am not married to. We are very eclectic in our homeschool. I pull from lots of different styles. However, I really have found a lot of great use for this book. It's broken up into the typical 3 stages that you would see with neoclassical teaching. The grammar stage would be kindergarten to 4th grade. The logic stage would be 5th grade to 8th grade. And then the rhetoric stage would be 9th to 12th. And then within each of those sort of groups of grade levels, she has it broken down by subject or category. So she'll have a category for math, she'll have a category for history and geography, for science, for language, spelling, grammar, reading, writing. And then she also touches on things like Latin and religion and logic, things like that. Again, with this book, I kind of just take what is useful for me personally and I leave the rest. I would definitely say I rely a little bit more on home learning year by year, but I definitely supplement it by just checking with the well-trained mind and seeing if I missed anything. While I'm going through those books, I will have my handy dandy notebook nearby. In my notebook, I will go ahead and make a list for each child. So I will put the school year, then I will put any curricula that I know for sure we are going to be using or trying out. And then I'll also make a goal list broken down by subject. So for math, for language arts, for social studies, for science, for arts and music, PE, and life skills, I also will typically make a more personal goal list for each of my kiddos. That might include goals that have to do with our faith, habits that I want to work on with them for the year. I will jot that down. I also think it's a great idea to collaborate on these lists with your kiddos depending on their age and awareness of what a goal is and how that works. It can be really great practice for them to talk out with you. What are we going to learn about this year? What do we really need to work on? What habits maybe do you want to develop, or what skills do you want to practice? And check in on those goals with your child so that they can see their progress, and also so that they can set smaller, more incremental goals that sort of add up to them reaching those larger goals. I'm really proud of how far we've come and how much we accomplished in this school year. Almost all of the academic goals that I wrote down for each of my daughters, we have either met or surpassed. So that is very exciting for me. It's also very reassuring to be able to see that on paper and actually physically check those things off, because I'm sure most of you can relate. Sometimes when we're in the trenches of homeschool and life, and for us personally, my family, we had a really difficult year in our personal life. You might feel like you're not getting a lot done. You feel like you're always behind, you're not finishing things that you start, etc., etc. All of those feelings can bog us down. When I see a physical representation of the goals that we started with and how much we've actually accomplished, it feels amazing, and it gives me that motivation to press on for another homeschool year. So I highly encourage you to make your own goal lists. I think all of us can benefit from sitting down, reflecting, having that quiet time to really think about what we want to accomplish in any given year with our kiddos at home. And then being able to revisit that, it's going to give you a lot of reassurance. It will give you some direction to where you're going, what you're really investing time in your homeschool. I did notice as we're checking in with our goals that one of the things I'd really like to focus on a bit more is the arts and music. Those areas are kind of what we missed the most on this past year. Also, social studies and science, we didn't meet a lot of goals in those two areas, and I know exactly why. We took much longer to start our science curricula than I would have liked this past year, because life happened and science was just one of the things that got put on the back burner. Social studies was one of the things that got put on the back burner. But that's okay, because I can look at these lists and I can see what I want to focus on right now as we're wrapping things up with this school year. There might be time for me to actually meet some of these goals that are left unchecked. And I also have the option to say, you know what? I wrote this down at the beginning of the year, and it's actually not as big of a priority as I thought it was. And maybe I will continue putting it on the back burner and just be okay with that. So that's kind of where I'm at with our goal check-in. I'm looking at what we've accomplished, feeling great about it. And I'm also seeing, where do I need to go from here? Are these things that I've left unchecked things I want to continue to focus on and invest our time and resources into? Or realistically, for the season of life that we're in right now, can I continue to let these go or push them further down the line? That's why I love these lists. They help me to do that and help me to find my focus points. Okay, so I have checked in with our goals. I am starting the process of making new goal lists for the upcoming school year. So let's talk about what curricula we are keeping. So the curricula that I know for sure we are keeping into the next school year, we will just start the next level, is Singapore Dimensions Math. I will keep using that for both of my girls. So Eleanor is wrapping up 2B, so she'll be finished with the entire second grade level of dimensions. And as soon as she's finished with that, we'll have a short break, and then she'll just jump right into 3A and start her third grade math. Margaret's wrapping up KB. As soon as she's done with that, we will probably take a break, and then she will hopefully be ready to start with 1A. I know that the level 1, the first grade work, might be kind of a big jump for her. So I'm considering whether I want to do something as sort of a bridge between those two levels. I might pick up something from like Beast Academy to kind of give her some more fun practice before she jumps into 1A with dimensions. I might just pick up like some practice workbooks. I'm not really sure yet. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. I love hearing y'all's suggestions. The second curricula I know for sure we will continue using is All About Reading. Eleanor is about 2/3 of the way done with All About Reading level 3. As soon as she's done with that, we'll have a nice little break, and then she will be starting level 4. Margaret is still trucking along with level 1. I'm just letting her kind of go at her own pace with level 1. Chances are that level will continue for several months of the next school year. And then at some point when she's ready, we'll start level 2 after she's done with level 1. For handwriting, we are going to continue with Zaner Bloser, I think. I really love the Zaner Bloser workbooks for handwriting. Margaret is almost done with her level K, the regular print. Eleanor hasn't even started her cursive level 2. She's still been working out of a cursive practice book that we just picked up off of Amazon. I want her to try out the Zaner Bloser cursive because we already have it, and you know, she's looked at it and she's excited to use it. So we'll probably continue with those workbooks. However, I am thinking of picking up something new for my youngest to try for handwriting. So stay tuned to hear about that. But I still think that Zaner Bloser will be a part of our homeschool for handwriting. The next thing that I know we will be continuing with is History Quest. We are not going to be finishing an entire level with our school year. For History Quest Early Times, it's laid out on a 26-week schedule. We tend to go slower and dive a little bit deeper than the pace that they set. So we're using History Quest as the spine, but then we kind of go off on rabbit trails and use a lot of other things to supplement if my kids are really interested, which typically they are. We all love history in this house. We will just carry on Early Times into the next school year, and then whenever we finish it, we'll just move into the next level with History Quest. For art and music, we will be continuing with using Thistles and Biscuits Woven Melodies. That's sort of like a composer study / instrument study. And we will also continue using our resources from Core Knowledge. We have their picture study prints. I probably will pick up the next level pack of those. And we also have Blossom and Root Math and Art that we still have not finished, you guys. Like, we've been working through level 1 for 2 years now, and we still haven't finished it. Just because we are really inconsistent with art and music, and that's why it's on my goal list to focus on that a little bit more next year. We will see how that goes. Some of the goals that I had written down for more fundamental things like learning what rhythm is or what pitch is, or about the different aspects of visual art like texture, lines. A lot of those sort of key things we have yet to cover in our homeschool. So I will be looking to add more resources to help us cover those concepts in a more explicit way so that we can meet our goals for the arts. For science, again, we will not finish the level of science curricula that I started out the year with before this school year is over. So whatever we have not finished from SCI level 0 and Blossom and Root year 2, we will just continue on with those into the next school year. I will say that even though we started science late in the year and we've been inconsistent with it, most of the time when we actually do science, we have been pulling from SCI, Scientific Connections Through Inquiry, level 0. However, I don't love it, y'all. I love that they touch on lots of different types of science, but the layout of the curricula, the way that it's organized, I don't know. It's not my favorite. I'm struggling with it a little bit, and I'm not even sure I can put my finger on why, because it's a really great curricula and there's so much I do like about it. I think it lacks a little bit of user friendliness for me. So at this point, I'm a little bit up in the air with whether or not we will get subsequent levels with Scientific Connections Through Inquiry. What I do know is I still love Blossom and Root for science. I keep going back to it. We haven't touched it much this year because I was really giving SCI more focus and attention. But man, Blossom and Root is just so user-friendly for us, and I really, really enjoy the way that the science is organized. Maybe we'll finish up SCI level 0 and then not use any subsequent levels and just focus more of our attention with Blossom and Root science. Or maybe I'll look for something else that pairs well with Blossom and Root. I'm not sure at this point. Definitely open to your suggestions and ideas. Let me know. Okay, now let's talk about what did not work and what we will not be moving forward with in the next school year. The first thing that really did not work for us was Michael Clay Thompson for language arts for my oldest daughter. We started using the island level of Michael Clay Thompson with my oldest, and I will be completely open and honest with you, we didn't get very far with it. It's written in a narrative sort of storybook fashion. It's designed for you and your child to read together or for your child to read independently. And honestly, the way that it's written, my daughter just did not connect with. I am going to use a term here, and I don't know if I'm using it correctly, but I feel like this curricula is very meta. And I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but that's what comes to mind. Michael Clay Thompson uses personification when he is describing the parts of speech. So he might have a little poem or a little silly sentence or story where your noun is like a person, it's a character, or your adjective is a person or a character. And then the way that they're interacting or talking with each other is very representative of what they do, what their role is in speech. I personally thought it was very clever, very well done, and I can see why so many kids would respond well to that. My daughter would read it and go, "This is ridiculous. This is silly nonsense." She tends to be more literal and straightforward and to the point. She gets annoyed pretty easily when she feels like she's being talked down to. And for her, that's what Grammar Island was making her feel. It made her feel kind of lost in the haze of like, what are we reading here exactly? And what's going on? And why is it written this way? Which then in turn meant that she couldn't actually focus or retain the main points of the lesson, which defeats the purpose of using it. Now, I have a lot of friends who absolutely love Michael Clay Thompson. They swear by it. I think it's beautifully done, and I think it's very unique in what it offers. So I am by no means saying it's a bad curricula or a bad program. It just didn't click or work for my daughter. And I'm a firm believer that if a curricula is not working for your kid, I can guarantee you there's another option out there that will work better. So why swim against the current when you can go with the flow? It's also very possible, and I have heard from a couple of friends, that she might be too young for Michael Clay Thompson. You know, I don't know. There's all sorts of things at play in why a curricula may or may not work for a particular kid. For right now, it's getting shelved. We will not be continuing with it in the foreseeable future. The other thing that we are not continuing with, did not work for us personally, is all about spelling. I know I've talked about that a little bit in previous videos already. It's a bummer, y'all. I really thought All About Spelling would be perfect for us because of how much we love All About Reading. Again, same kid, my oldest, she doesn't like when things feel unnecessarily dragged out. And All About Spelling felt very tedious and it felt redundant. A lot of the things we were covering, she was like, I already know this because we learned it in All About Reading. And so all of that just became a distraction from her actually practicing spelling, which again defeats the purpose of using a spelling curricula. We've already kind of made a switch in our spelling to Memoria Press traditional spelling, which I've also talked about on my channel. We might be trying something else as well and seeing which we like better of the two. So stay tuned to hear more about that. Another thing that didn't go as well as I thought it would was my plans for literature. I had started out the year thinking I didn't really jive with any particular lit-based resource or curricula. I wanted to kind of just come up with our own, pick out our own read alouds for the year, and then come up with my own writing and comprehension activities based on those read alouds. And guys, it was kind of a flop. I mean, we've only finished 2 of our 12 read alouds for the year, which is embarrassing to admit, but that's the reality. That is what happened this school year. Now, does that mean we've only read 2 books all year? No. I read to my kids every single day. We read faith-based material, we read poetry, we read picture books. But what I'm talking about is like more meaty literature, chapter books that I intended to read aloud to the girls, and then, you know, for us to kind of digest as a family together. I felt super confident about my plan at the beginning of the year, and it just didn't work great. The bottom line is I didn't invest as much time or energy into planning it out as I should have. So now I'm kind of starting back at square one. I'm looking at possibly bringing in more structure for literature. I'm very much on the fence about that though. So more to come on that. The last thing that we will not be continuing with that did not work for us is Song School Spanish. So I've talked about briefly on this channel before, we are a Latino family. We have sort of lost our Spanish through the generations of our family. My husband and I both know very little Spanish. He knows more than I do. And it's one of our family goals to incorporate more Spanish into our homeschool, into our learning as a family, to kind of all learn it together. I wasn't super confident about Song School Spanish to begin with. I got it secondhand on a whim from a fellow homeschool mama on Instagram. I just thought, why not? Let's try it. And we tried it and we really didn't like it. As with everything I mention, just because it doesn't work for us doesn't mean that it isn't a great fit for you. I think the program is fine. There were just lots of things that didn't work well for us. In the first level, it definitely focuses on teaching vocabulary and phrases that are commonly used in a classroom setting. It just was kind of boring for us. I felt like some of the vocabulary and sentences we weren't going to get a lot of practice with in our everyday life. We are going in a different direction with Spanish. I've already picked up one of the programs that I'm really excited to try for Spanish for next year. So I'll be sharing that soon. I'm also looking at an additional program to supplement that curricula. So yeah, I'm nailing down the final details with Spanish. Now let's talk about my last category. This is something that actually worked really well, but we might not continue with it. That is core knowledge language arts, CKLA. I do need to make a whole separate video on core knowledge because I do get a lot of questions. It's not something that I see commonly used among homeschoolers, but I do think it's gaining in popularity and more people are finding out about it. It is something that you can access for your homeschool completely free. That is a huge perk. Let me know if you have any specific questions about core knowledge language arts so that I can get into gear and get that video out for you guys. So what we used core knowledge language arts for is a few things. I've used it to supplement History Quest because they do have historical content units. Even though they're language arts units with a focus on comprehension, writing, vocabulary, they're still tying in historical content. And several of the units from grade level 1, I believe, married really well with what we were learning in History Quest. So I did pull from those to get additional stories for us to read together, to get additional vocabulary practice and comprehension questions. It worked phenomenally for that. I feel like it just plays really nice with History Quest as a supplement. So we're probably going to continue with that into the next school year as far as for history. Additionally, my youngest daughter has used some of the core knowledge language arts resources for kindergarten. I'm basically using it as a supplemental worksheet source. There are a lot of great, just very simple black and white worksheets that they include in the skills portion of CKLA for kindergarten. And to me, they are really great extra practice for her. Extra reading practice, extra sort of logic, critical thinking. So I will just pull from those as a supplement because she really does enjoy worksheets and that is a great way for me to give her extra practice. I will probably continue to use core knowledge skills, print off worksheets for my younger daughter if she continues to enjoy them. I already have all the grades from pre-K to 5th grade downloaded on my computer. Very easy for me to access and print off as needed. Now, the other thing that I used it for is for composition for my oldest daughter. When we started this school year, I noticed right away that we were really lacking with some writing instruction, and I turned to CKLA to help fill in those gaps. We actually went through all of the first grade writing assignments with my daughter. Even though this was her 2nd grade year, a lot of that stuff we had not covered. Things like informative writing, opinion writing, going into writing personal narratives, sort of explicitly laying out the writing process of like drafting and editing, laying out the elements of writing. So plot, characters, setting, all of that stuff we had touched on in a very casual way, but I could tell that she didn't really grasp it fully and I wanted to focus on it more explicitly. CKLA worked wonderfully for that. We were able to finish all of the 1st grade writing assignments And now she is into the second grade writing assignments, and her writing has just exploded. She went from the kid who would stare at me blankly when I asked her if she wanted to write anything, to now she is the kid that journals every single day, unprompted by me. She enjoys it and loves it. She's writing stories, she's writing songs, she's writing jokes. I can just see her confidence building and blossoming with writing, and it's so exciting to me, so rewarding to see that. So here's where we won't be continuing with CKLA. And you might be wondering, didn't you just say that it worked beautifully and it's done wonders for her writing? Yes, I did. So why would I stop? That is a question that my husband also wonders about, especially because this curricula is free. Let me explain though. Core Knowledge Language Arts is free. Huge perk. It's extremely well done. I love the concepts that they are covering, the content they are covering. However, it is designed for public schools and for public school teachers. Implementing it and organizing it is not very user-friendly. It is extremely time-consuming and it's extremely teacher-intensive. It requires a lot of prep, a lot of organization on my part. Is it impossible? No, I've been doing it. It's totally possible. And I'll share more about that when I make a video for CKLA. However, I'm about to have a baby, y'all. If all things go well, I will be having a baby in July. I really need to try to alleviate some things off of my plate. I need to be able to outsource a little bit more. And for my oldest daughter, because of how far she's come with her writing, because of her maturity, her age level, and also the way that she learns best, she likes things that are straightforward. She likes workbooks and worksheets. She likes independent work, and she's getting better and better at working independently. So at this point in time, as much as it breaks my heart, I feel like core knowledge has to be something that I let go, at least for her, at least using it to teach composition for her, because that is one of the most intensive components that we use it for. When I'm using it for history, it's still not open and go, but it's a lot easier. I'm reading a story, the lessons are scripted. When I'm using it for my youngest, I'm basically just printing off worksheets for her. There's not a whole lot of thought and time that goes into that. But with my oldest, it's a lot more tedious to try to find the writing assignments, which are spread throughout the skills portion for her grade level, and then to try to implement them and tailor it to her when it's written for an entire classroom. It takes a lot of thought and prep, and I just realistically don't think I can invest that much for that one subject or skill set. Another thing that has worked really well, but I'm not sure at this point if we will continue with it, is our Evan Moore workbooks. When Michael Clay Thompson became a total flop for us, I tried to scramble and find some additional grammar resources for my daughter. So I quickly just picked up grammar and punctuation from Evan Moore. I got level 3, even though she's in second grade, because when I looked at the activities, I thought that the second grade level might be a little redundant for her. I kind of regret that because some of the stuff in level 3 is quite advanced. So it is what it is. It's not really the best for teaching brand new concepts, but it does give her a little bit of extra practice. It's okay. That's my final review of this, is it's okay. I don't know that we will need this with the new grammar program that we're going to try out next year. It's possible that we might come back to this as a supplement and for extra practice. It's also possible that we might just drop it completely. The other workbook that we tried out from Evan Moore is Daily Paragraph Editing. The book is laid out on a Monday through Friday schedule. She edits 4 paragraphs a week that are all about the same subject. And the content that they've included pulls from all different areas. So it is sort of cross-curricular content that's included, which I really like. And then on Friday, after she's edited all of those, she will be prompted to write her own paragraph that is either a continuation of the story, or it's about the same subject, or it's summarizing what the other paragraphs had, something along those lines. She's given a prompt, she's given specific questions that she needs to answer in her paragraph. I absolutely love this workbook, and honestly, she really enjoys it too. I let her use a red pen for editing, and she thinks that's the coolest thing ever. I love that it's open and go, it's very simple, and I have seen her writing improve because of what she does in this workbook. So all that being said, I'm still unsure if we'll continue with this or get the subsequent level, because it might be redundant with the new grammar and writing program that we are thinking of trying. At this point, all I can say is we've really enjoyed it, and it'll be nice to sort of have this in our back pocket if we need it. All right, y'all, I think I have rambled for long enough. I really hope that this video helped give you an overview of where we are at. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget about our upcoming huge epic Curricula Choice collab. Make sure you're subscribed so that you can watch that in the next couple of weeks. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!